I didn't say the agape old men. So we're going to explore. We're going to explore the idea of creativity. So we're going to start at the beginning of the journey. The beginning of the journey where there was just one. Just close your eyes and feel that sense of unlimited, infinite expression that you are. And realize from that expression, life is birthed. And so come back into this room, bringing that feeling back with you. As we start to uncover this idea that there is one, it is individualized, it is whole, it is responsive to every wish, and it's really not a wish. It's every idea that is implanted in it with belief and conviction. This power that knows only how to create, and it creates out of itself, for itself, to be itself, to amuse itself, to dance with itself, to express, because all it knows is to express life. And realize that that's who we are. We are that power. We are that individualization. We are that oneness. Come here to express in the only way we can, in our uniqueness, given perfect freedom, perfect ability. Everything in the universe has been built to support that creative urge, that creative desire within us. And so let me say this right from the very beginning. It's not that we're going to start to use that power. We're using it whether we realize it or not. Everything in our lives is a result of the creative power within us. Everything in our lives is that creative power expressing and experiencing itself. The thing about that creative power, it does not care whether it's unconsciously thought or it is consciously thought. It simply takes the overall consciousness of our mind and bursts that into our experience. So we've talked a lot recently about willpower. We've talked about persistence. We've talked about imagination. We've talked about making the decision. What I want to talk to you about today is this idea of looking at things from two sides. In other words, double thinking. You see, I don't believe that anyone has ever asked to suffer. I don't believe we're destined to get our lessons through suffering. I believe that because we are free, we have the opportunity to have that experience. And what happens for most of us is that we've never become fully aware of what we are and the power that we are, and that we've been living in a fog. And as living in that fog, there is the possibility, there is the opportunity for a consciousness that is not directed by us, but has been absorbed by us through our parents, our family, our society, and everything around us that causes suffering to happen. A baby born into suffering does not cause that, but it was born into an environment where the consciousness was present. And until that baby rises in the level of awareness to see that it has power, that consciousness won't change. But when that baby gets to a point where it can realize that the power within it to shift its thought is there, it will have a new experience. Because the fullness and allness of God is always with that child. It is always with an adult. It is with everyone. So I believe that we're birthing right now a new religion. And that new religion is based on understanding the universality of God and the individuality of God. And when we understand the universality and the individuality, we understand that the infinite power that creates all things is always present right where we are. And that power responds to us with our thought. And so the greatest journey, the greatest discovery that humankind has ever made is that the creative mind is right within us. And it's not just this mind, but it's this mind. It's the combination of these two minds together. What I've come to understand is that we can pursue something from a linear perspective, a very logical, intellectual perspective. And as we explore that, we will have a logical sequence of events. And we will have the outpicturing of that logical sequence of thought. But there's also the other thought. There's the thought of the heart, the thought of the gut. It's that intuitive knowing that knows without the linear. But think about this. When we align the heart, the intuitive, the divine side, with the intellectual, the thinking side, now we know. And when we know, nothing stops us. There is not a roadblock out there that can stop us from achieving anything that we desire. Because we are so fully connected with God as we are, with the allness that we are, with the desire that we have chosen, that we now act in accordance with that desire. You see, it really becomes clear. You either believe it or you don't. And I'm going to tell you what you believe. It's your life. Right now, right where you stand, your life is a physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional outpicturing of your belief. There's no getting around it. You are not a victim to anything. To think that you're a victim means you're not one. So to double think this and say, well, society is doing this to me, or the government's doing this to me, to have these thoughts that politics can do this to me, you are now a victim. You are not in a state of oneness. And I'm challenging you to experiment in your lives, to come out of this ridiculousness that we've been brainwashed to and start thinking from the magnificence that you are and saying, I claim my power now. And I think and I act only upon that which I know is for my greater good, my greater expression of love, my greater experiencing of love. And love for me is the highest experience when I have joy. Joy is that infallible knowing the oneness of God in everything that we do. Now, if you ask me to describe joy, I can't. I cannot put words on joy. I cannot put words on love. I cannot put words on God. But I can tell you, when I feel it, I am drawn so totally toward it that nothing can get in the way. I will allow nothing to get in the way of experience what I believe I'm here to experience. And that is the fullness and allness and connection with the divine presence and the ability to interact with the divine presence in every person we meet. You see, a person is not their experience. A person is the divinity of God with the freedom to experience anything in any moment. And so when we sing that song before we did our meditation today, it is done unto you as you believe. Those were the words of Jesus. He came down and he said those words so clearly. And now quantum physicists are saying the same thing. So science, philosophy, spirituality has come together with an understanding that it is the belief. And the belief is not something you just think. You see, when we do spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, it is simply directing the power of the law to shift where we're thinking. When we're doing visualization, it is to shift the power of our mind to go in a specific direction. When we do affirmations, it's to shift the power of who we are in a specific direction. When we give gratitude, it's to shift the power of our mind in a direction that's for us. When we do meditation, it's to allow the stuff that's been blocking this shift to center and move out of our mind, to clear our mind, so we can fill our mind with the directed thought that creates. You see, it's not a person who sits down and says, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. They're not the millionaire. The person who sits down and knows that the sum total of the thoughts that they are, conscious and unconscious, is a millionaire, is one. The greatest example that I've ever seen about this is to take a jar. Let's take a jar this high, about this big around. And we're going to put water in it about this deep. Okay? So it's got water down to here. And the water's murky. That's our mind. Our mind is murky. It's got all that clouded stuff from all the people in our lives, from society, the newspapers, everything. It's down there and it's murky. So we don't have a clear vision of who we are in our power. And so we take these ideas of prayer, meditation, visualization, visioning, gratitude, forgiveness. We take all of that, and with each time we do that, we add a drop of clear water. And we keep doing that over and over again. We add a drop of clear water, clear water, clear water, clear water. And what happens before a period of time? The whole container shifts and it all becomes clear. But you see, if we've got that container and we've got murky water in here, and we start adding clear drops, but then we go over here and we listen to the woe me's, and we start adding the mucky water in there, what happens? We're blending, we're putting both sides of the coin in there, so the water gets to the fullness of the jar. It's not changed. So when people say to you, you can think this other stuff, it's okay, you look them in the eye and say, thank you, but no thank you. Because every time we add a drop of something that is not pure into the direction we want, we are slowing down the demonstration that we've chosen. In other words, we don't have a big enough why to what we're doing. Because if we have a compelling why behind the desire that we want, there can be no doubt that we will not let anything get in our way. We will not allow anyone, any person, any group of people, any set of events, any limitations to come into our way. We don't care how old we are. We can be 61 years old and still become a rock star. But you see, I got to have a belief. I've got to have a reason why. This idea of a law that is always working, it's a principle. And a principle means it's never changeable. It cannot be changed. It's always working. It will always work the same way over and over and over again. So this principle, because it is infinite, it never gets old. So what gets old? It's not the principle, it's our ideas. And so we experience ideas of aging. We experience all of these things of deterioration, not because there is an infinite power that we are. It's because we've allowed our thoughts to shift. Are you hearing that? That's pretty radical when you really think about it. But yet this human body is birthed by science to live 150 years. It is meant to live at least 150 years functioning at the level of a healthy, virile person. The only thing that can stop it from that is not having a directed intention of that happening for you, allowing race consciousness to come in. And when you do not have a set intention for anything in your life, you're allowing the law of averages, what the race is thinking about, to come and be your experience. That's why all the major motivational speakers throughout the ages have always said, have clear, defined goals in all areas of your lives. I would say make it clear intentions and values about what you want in your life. Have an idea about what you want in your body. Have an idea what you want in relationships. Have an idea of what you want for your career. Have an idea about the financial abundance you want in your life. Have an idea about how intelligent you are and how you are able to grasp wisdom and knowledge at any moment, and you are a genius in every moment because you have chosen to be a genius. Have those ideas in your mind. Implant those ideas. Those are your strengths. Work on those strengths, and never, ever focus on your weaknesses. Delegate that stuff out. It's not your joy. If it's a weakness, it has nothing to do with what brings you a greater expression. Get rid of it. The idea that you have to have balance and be good at everything in your life, that's what society says. You can choose to be different. So what's the first thing? first thing is we have to realize our oneness with God. It's what we talk about in religious science every week that we come together. When Ernest Holmes wrote The Science of Mind, he said oneness was the first chapter. And everything, people read The Science of Mind, they see the repetition. And it always comes back to oneness. It always comes back to oneness. It always comes back to oneness. What did Jesus say? The Father and I are one. And then he said, this I can do and you can do and more, meaning we are one with the Father. And where is the Father? The Father is right where we are. It's right within us. So we come back to this universal truth of oneness and we embrace it. And now that we've embraced that oneness, we understand that we are the individualization. And being the oneness of God, we have freedom. There's nothing that can stop us from experiencing our bliss. There is nothing that is against us. Only our thoughts contrary to what we want are against what we desire. The person who is seeking to get better health, if their thoughts are on health, they will get better health. If their thoughts are on disease, they will attract more disease. It's a subtle difference, but it's very real in the eyes of the mind. The mind sees and hears health, or it sees and hears disease. You don't say, I want to be pain-free. The mind hears pain. You want to hear that I live easily and effortlessly, and I flow in my body, and my body loves the way it feels as it moves and grooves and glides through life. Do you like that? Moves, grooves, and glides through life. I like that rolled off. So we've gotten our oneness. We've used our imagination to get the clarity that's individual to us. We realize our freedom. Once we've got that, we build a why. Why do I want to have money? Why do I want to have health? It's not just to have a healthy body. I want health so I can be an example to people that I can inspire to teach them how to live in health and vibrance so that I can do this work that I'm doing that brings me such joy every moment of every day and nothing can stop me. You see, there's a compelling reason. I want money so I can have all the comfort so I don't have to worry about anything and I'm free to give and yet do what I want to do with all the joy that I possibly can have. I want loving relationships because I know in loving relationships I get to experience oneness. And when I experience oneness with others, the wholeness and allness of God becomes even more clear and more one. And then I direct all of my thoughts, all of my actions. I am persistent in it. I refuse to allow anything to come into my mind, into my world that is opposite of that. And that is the work, because that is not easy based on the human mind. And that's one of the reasons we come together in community. We come together in community because the people who are coming here believe like we believe. So when you believe like this, you want to be with people who believe like you believe. Because if they believe the same thing, then they will support you. Why are you ever attracted to any human being? It's because there's something within them that believes as you do. And when you feel that, you say, oh, I'm connected. It's very simple. If I meet someone from Dearborn, Michigan, I'm connected because I grew up in Dearborn, Michigan. There was a belief system about that. There's a connection. If you go to Texas A&M, you're going to connect with other Aggies, the same reason. There's a belief system there. So we like to be with people that believe like we are. So we come here on Sundays to celebrate life, to lift and feel the energy so that we begin the week fully charged. But you see, that's not all. From here we go to classes, because in classes we break it down into smaller groups. And in the smaller groups, we explore these spiritual principles at a different and deeper level. And then when we do that, we're given the opportunity to exercise these on a daily basis. And so what ends up happening then is we go from the macrocosm of this magnificent Sunday celebration to a more microcosm of a classroom, to the individual cosm where we practice our daily lives in spiritual awareness every moment of every day. That is living a prayer. It's living seeing God, the infinite in everything. It's living and seeing God and the perfection of who you are in every situation. For you are the answer you've been looking for. You are the power that you've been looking for. You have the ability to direct that power with your thoughts, with your actions, with your practices, and we build habits that support that. We build a habit of meditation, a habit of prayer, a habit of visualization, a habit of gratitude, a habit of letting go, a habit of giving, a habit of loving. And then our lives are an automatic, and now we create even more because our imagination soars. So we're entering this holiday season. I want to suggest to you that the greatest gift that you can give yourself or anyone is to let go of all limitation. Allow yourself to soar. And as a child, when a child wants a little red tricycle for Christmas, that child focuses on nothing but that tricycle. It's red. It's got the bell ringer on it. It's got the pedals, and they're built up a little bit because its legs aren't quite long enough yet. But that child knows that when it's riding, it's joyful. And all it can talk about, live and breathe, is that tricycle. Be a child. Do that with your life. And every day becomes Christmas.